Good evening and welcome to Main Street Sports. Ray Halbrook here with Live Stream STL. Hope everybody's having a great evening tonight here. We are live from none other than, I'll show the shot here, the big wide shot here. We are at Pedal and Pie here on Bailey Road, just south of, or I guess just down from Main Street. And it's a bike shop that serves pizzas. And so we're really excited to have Chris Creed invite us up here for this. He's behind the bar, if you will. So, but thanks for being with us tonight. And tonight is our football playoff preview. And I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, Mr. Jeff Whitener. Jeff, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, and for those of you watching at home tonight, I have to tell you, it smells terrific in here.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrific. I am very pleased and happy and honored as well to be joined tonight by an expert in football matters and media in the Jefferson County area, as well as farther south, Mr. Nathan Gertz from KJF 1400 AM, MyMoInfo.com, sports.com. Nathan, we appreciate having you come in here tonight, kind of a cross-media type of deal, a media roundtable, but really wanted to get your take on some of these district games. I know you've seen a lot of teams that perhaps I haven't seen or Ray hasn't seen this year, so glad to have you aboard, sir.
Well, I appreciate all those very flattering, nice things you said about me, because I consider myself a little bit of a quote-unquote BS artist, if you will, at times. But I have thoroughly enjoyed my now 2 years up here getting to cover Jefferson County teams in all high school sports, especially in football. And it's been a real good 2 years to do it. There's been some excellent athletes out there and some real good teams.
Yeah, we've had some very good competition, and, of course, teams that have made a deep run. Of course, Jefferson made a deep run last year, and I think we have a couple of teams in the county that are probably poised to make a deep run into the state playoffs this year. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit. Before we get started, though, we kind of wanted to talk about a fun fact, a trivia fact to get us started today. In Jefferson County, we have 3 different teams that have 3 different players with the last name of Rubel on it. We have Cole Rubel at Seckman, of course. Cole is the quarterback, but he also leads in rushing yards. Nate Rubel at St. Pius, a great player, two-way player, probably better known for his defense, but also a great offensive player. And Ryan Rubel at Grandview, the younger Rubel of the 3. Between those 3 players, Cole, Nate, and Ryan, they have accounted for over 3,080 total yards. Wow. In this football season. Cole, being the quarterback at Seckman, 1,964 total yards. Nate at St. Pius, 638 total yards. And Ryan at Grandview, 478 total yards. And the most ironic thing, I believe, is in speaking with Nate Rubel's mother, none of these gentlemen are related in any way.
I don't know how that's possible.
I don't either.
You would think that many good athletes, the genes, that would be the case, but somehow, some way.
Somewhere along the way, and they're all very good runners. So just kind of wanted to throw that. I thought that was so ironic, too ironic not to share with the folks watching. Well, let's jump right in, Nathan. Let's start. We're going to start with the lower classes and work our way up, folks. And starting off in the I-55 conference, Class 1, District 1, we have Charleston at St. Vincent. St. Vincent Indians, the number 2 seed. They've got a 4-5 overall record this year. They finished 4th in the I-55 conference. The Indians have lost 3 straight, however. COVID protocols, low numbers have hurt the Indians this year. But this is also a down year for Charleston. Normally a very game and competitive Charleston team, only with 1 victory this season. And I've seen the Indians. I don't know, have you seen either one of these teams this year?
Been around St. Vincent a little this season, and my general impression is that Tim Schumer, running that air raid offense that they have, he has been, and I think he'd admit it, unbelievably blessed with quarterback play the last couple of years. Garrett Double-R and then last year John Wibbenmeyer were really, really good. Christian Schaff that they have running the offense this year, he's still learning how to do it. And that's a big reason why they haven't necessarily been electric offensively. Before the 3-game losing streak they were on, they had a 3-game win streak going into the St. Pius game, and they hadn't allowed a point in there. So it looked like they were kind of turning into a great defensive team. And then the last couple weeks, defense played well in losses to Pius and to Jefferson, just couldn't win, and the turnovers hurt them against Grandview. So they've got a very good running back, Mason Light, in his senior season, that they will try to get the ball to him as much as possible. The question kind of becomes, does anybody else make plays for them?
Exactly, and you hit on the inexperience of the quarterback this year, and I can't stress enough in speaking to Coach Schumer how the numbers situation that they've run into this year. I know that they were supposed to play this last Monday. They were supposed to play a JV game at Jefferson, and they ended up having to use so many players in the varsity game the previous Friday that they weren't able to come up and play the Blue Jay JV team. So I know that numbers have been an issue, and I know that part of that has been COVID. So I'm hoping that St. Vincent can bounce back next year. But having said all that, I think obviously this is going to be a speed game, and I still think it's going to be a passing game, but I do believe the Indians should be able to get through this. And, of course, they will then face the winner of the number 6 seed Malden at Scott City, who's the number 3 seed. And anything could happen from there. I think St. Vincent's more than capable of jumping up and beating Scott City as well if they emerge in that district.
The beauty of everything that's happened for St. Vincent, the struggles that have occurred here at the end of the year, is not only do you get Charleston in a down year, but if you get Scott City next week, that's a team they beat earlier in the year in Scott City.
Exactly.
So they'd be prepared if they got that matchup in the semifinals next week.
Right, and even though we've discussed some of the challenges that St. Vincent faces, they are more than capable of turning that around, like you said, and reeling off a few straight games here. So, moving on now, we have Class 1 District 2, and that is the Crystal City Hornets against the St. Pius Lancers. That is a game that not only will be featured on our live stream Game of the Week through Misha TV, but also on KHF 1400 AM. We'll all be there watching the two county teams. Now, the Lancers come in as the number 3 seed in this district, and they are facing the Hornets, who are the number 6 seed. And it's really difficult for me to think of these two teams having to face each other in the same district in the, I can't understand for the life of me, and I'll just throw it out there, why St. Pius has been listed, and, the powers to be have listed them in Class 1. We've got St. Pius teams listed all the way up 1, 2, 3, and 4, depending on the sport now, and that's all I'll say about that without going into a big rant about Misha.
It's weird. It's weird. You ask yourself, how did they calculate it? Because it used to be almost solely based on enrollment numbers where you would be classified. I think it was last year they started to implement a formula where it's kind of a half and half between your enrollment, but also they started to take success in a particular sport into account. I will say for Pius, it's a combination of maybe not having a great enrollment, even if you add that private school multiplier in there, with the fact that this is a team that a couple weeks ago when they beat Bayless, that was the first conference title, I think, since like 2002 for them in football. And it was funny talking to them this summer. Dan Oliver, since he's gotten there, the head coach, has preached nobody has ever won 9 games in a season at St. Pius. So historically, they haven't necessarily had a ton of success, which I think kind of helped them drop down to Class 1 this year.
Yeah, and that to me makes it even more confusing. But you brought up Dan Oliver, and I think since he has come to St. Pius, he's done a fantastic job getting the most out of the skill level he's had on all of his teams there. Even in a down year last year, as Colin Smith was emerging as quarterback and learning the ropes. And, of course, we've seen Colin Smith have a very successful season this year. Nate Rubel, rumored that he will not be in the lineup tomorrow night. That might be a game-time decision. But even with Nate out of the lineup, St. Pius certainly has the skills and talent to make this game and have a dominating win, but make a statement win here. And for Crystal City, this is also a good measuring stick. Dan Fox's team's won 3 games this year since they've gone out as an independent. They're, a pretty decent season for them. So this will be a nice measuring stick against an old conference foe in St. Pius to see exactly how far the program's come. they've got Callaway Dashner there. Callaway Dashner, I refer to him like a Colbiot last year, a Swiss Army knife. You could probably line him up anywhere in the Crystal City lineup, and he could do the job for you. And then, on defense, they also get big contributions from Eisenbeis, from Bolton, from Schaumburg. So Crystal City's having a nice year, and I don't think that Pius will run away with this game tomorrow night, but I think it will be a victory.
I think the thing to keep in mind is that St. Pius had the strangest 7-game win streak any team could have, because there were a couple of victories in there against Doniphan and Bayless. They kind of controlled start to finish, and yet when they went to Grandview, they were only up a score as the fourth quarter started in that one. We all know how it went with Jefferson with a Hail Mary at the end. They were tied at halftime with Herculaneum before they kind of woke up and run away with that game. They have not necessarily dominated teams week in and week out, even for a 7-2 season. They kind of get in their own way on offense sometimes. Dan Oliver and the other coaches have all preached the fact their youngest position is the offensive line. They're most inexperienced, and so those guys are at times make mistakes that hurt. But at the same time, I think you're right. The athletes in place, even if there is no Nate Rubel, is enough. Dabrian Moss is becoming one of those really, really great players now that he has stayed healthy this season for them, both sides of the ball. Colin Smith clearly knows what he's doing now at quarterback. They're going to be in a good position, all things considered, on their home field. But I'm kind of with you. I think Crystal will make the plays necessary, and St. Pius might make the mistakes that make it a closer game.
Right, and I think that, just the battle of playing every day by the second half, Crystal City may tire, and you may see the game turn at that point. But we can't forget also the contributions of Michael Argana for St. Pius. He is a beast, a big, strong, fast young man that does great on both sides of the ball. So the winner of that game will play number 2 seed Mark Twain, as Principia had to forfeit their first-round game. So Mark Twain moves on as the number 2 seed, kind of gets a bye there. So that'll be an interesting matchup. I know St. Pius really wants to play Mark Twain, and I don't know much about Mark Twain, so that'll be an interesting matchup. And I'm hoping that someone will, whether it's the radio station or somebody, will be able to follow their journey there. But, next game we have up is Class 2 now, District 1, and we're talking about Kelly at Jefferson. Alex Rugley this season. And you could start to see it last year. He had to adjust his offense, his veer/modified flexbone, whatever you want to call it, to the talent level that he had. For the first time in Jefferson's history, not only do they have a quarterback who can, with a strong arm, and get the ball downfield, but they also have some great receivers. So he had to adjust his offense for that, coupled with the fact that for the first time in probably the last 10 years of that school, they don't have a running back, a feature back with breakaway speed like Dylan Schnitzler last year, and of course before that several others. You go right down the list. So great job there. Will Breeze, Colton Richardson, great possession receivers up front. Chase Polite has been the deep threat for the Blue Jays, and Will Breeze, Drew's brother, also among the leaders in not only in scoring as a receiver, running back, and place kicker, is also an area leader in return yardage. He's not a very big guy, but he does not like to go down. You see him fight through several tackles. He's very, very tough. As we mentioned, quarterback Drew Brees, one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the country, or in the county, and Metro leader in passing and passing percentage. Also one of the better punters in the area with a 39-yard average. Linebacker Colton Richardson is among the Metro leaders in tackles, and he's starting to garner some interest from some local colleges here in St. Louis area.
As he should. Physically, that dude is a specimen.
Yes, he is. And interesting, another tidbit to throw out there last season as for Alex Rugley's head coach of the Blue Jays before he takes over his athletic director position full-time. So I know they want to keep going as far as they can. I don't know much about Kelly. I know that Jefferson has faced Kelly the last 2 seasons in districts, and I know that left a bad taste in Kelly's mouth. So I'm expecting a pretty decent game here tomorrow, or Friday night.
It sounds like they've definitely made some strides on the defensive end, the Hawks, and that's going to be a big deal, obviously. But I kind of think this is, for the second year in a row, an underseeded Jefferson team. They were better than the 3 seed. They went out and proved it last year. I think they're better than the 4 seed. They're maybe the next best team besides New Madrid County Central in that district. And the reason for that is, we talk about these skill guys. Alex Rugley has done the thing that I think he learned from his days being over at Hillsboro, which is you win at the line of scrimmage. They are really, really good up front once again. And considering how many veteran offensive linemen like Steve Stevens and Dawson Jakubek graduated from last year, that's a huge accomplishment. I have really loved watching the last 2 seasons Jackson Combs play on the defensive line, especially. He's a beast at that nose tackle spot.
Connor Armstrong.
He has been great this year as a pass rusher. Yeah, they're good up front to go with the skill guys and to go with probably the best passing quarterback that Coach Rugley has ever had in Will Breeze now.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the offensive-defensive line, because very seldom do you see a Jefferson go up against an opponent that has an offensive line that is smaller. They're usually going against a much larger offensive-defensive line, which makes the fact that how well these guys play together as a unit, especially on the offensive line, against a bigger defensive line is pretty special to watch, especially with the offense that Jefferson runs. So the winner of that game will face number 1 seed Central New Madrid, of course, that you mentioned. And New Madrid, last year, they had a lot of skill, not a lot of experience. And this year they've gained a ton of experience. And whoever wins, whether it's Kelly or Jefferson, will face a very dangerous New Madrid team. I don't know if you've had a chance to see them play at all this year, but they're fast, they're athletic, everything you would expect a team from New Madrid to be. So it could be problematic for the Hawks or the Blue Jays.
I asked Alex Rugley when I saw him earlier this week about Kelly. He was like, how do they compare to last year? And he said he feels like they're a little less experienced than they were a year ago. And then when you talk about New Madrid, he said, they're every bit the team they were in talent, except now they're older and they know what they're doing. That will be kind of, I think, a test in both directions if Jefferson wins, both for how good were the Jays really this year, and also New Madrid Central, that's been ranked top 10 in the state in Class 2. How much progress have they made to where they can beat the team that knocked them off for a district title a year ago?
Exactly, and that experience showed in that district title last year. They beat themselves a lot of time, a lot of unnecessary penalties and turnovers that really hurt New Madrid. So I don't expect that same type of performance this time around. Moving on now, we're looking at the Class 2 District 2 game between Cuba and Grandview. And, without you can't talk about Grandview without the job that Dave Dallas has done the last few years there and really kind of turning that program around. The key thing to me that I've seen with Grandview when I watch them is that offensive line and defensive line, for that matter, have played together essentially since they were in the 7th grade, since the time when Grandview dropped down and didn't offer a varsity program because of low numbers. And they're a very, very cohesive unit. And I think that is probably the thing that stands out the most to me for the Eagles. Now, they're going against Cuba. Cuba is going through a rebuilding period right now at 1-8, and I expect Grandview to be able to run the ball successfully and win this game.
I think the funny thing about what Grandview has done that speaks to just the progress the program has made is the fact that, we could all point to the senior experience on this team and say, of course, they're finally breaking through. They're older. One of their leading rushers is a sophomore in Cameron Hagan. And you mentioned the guys up front. The seniors are really all skill guys. The guys up front are sophomores and juniors who have been through a lot themselves and are just doing a fabulous job this year. It's the most versatile they've been on offense because Clayton Riddle is experienced at quarterback, and they trust everybody, not just Chase Wilson, to give the football to. And then on the defensive side, all those skill guys go back out there, play again, and fly around and make things happen.
Including Riddle. Yeah. Riddle's a big part of that secondary for them as well. And I'm glad you mentioned Clayton because I think that he does a very good job at quarterback of managing that offense. that Coach Dallas has put up there. And he's talk about taking your lumps and learning on the job. He's certainly done it, and he is one tough young man. So. Props to the Eagles, and I'm glad that you mentioned that about the skill position players as well, and the fact that the offensive line and defensive line they're not necessarily seniors.
I think I had a chance to actually talk to Coach Dallas earlier this week and to a couple of his guys, and one thing we talked about was not just what they've had to learn over the years, but even just this season. They've won back-to-back games coming into this one here against Cuba. I think the last loss in there was a game at Father Tolton, Columbia. They made a long road trip, and they were up 27-0 at half and gave it away. And every one of those guys to a man, you could still – I brought it up, and faces just dropped. You could tell. They were still very upset about that. They feel like they should be 7-2, maybe even 8-1, because they played St. Pius tough early in the year. So they are. It's not just that they've been around, that they've had to learn it the Hard Knocks way, but it's also the fact that they're not completely satisfied. They want a playoff win. It'd be the first since we've gotten to this district format for Grandview, and they want their shot next week, where they would get the 2 seed Duchesne, and that's a top 10 team in the state right now in Class 2 with a highly touted young quarterback that draws a lot of attention. And Jefferson went in and made a statement when they beat Duchesne last year. Grandview wants that opportunity.
And Duchesne's another team, too, a bit on the inexperienced but highly skilled side last year that I know that Ray got to see out there when they did that game, and they're even better this year as well. So, but it's good to see that attitude coming from Grandview. A team now that no longer – when they get down, all of a sudden it's a here we go again. They've changed that mindset and changed that culture, and that benefits the entire conference. And other coaches will tell you that as well. Nobody likes to blow out teams. So it behooves everyone to have competitive teams in all the schools. Makes everybody better. Moving on now, we're going to move up to Class 3, District 2, and that is Roosevelt at Herculaneum. And I've seen Herculaneum quite a bit this season, cobble out a 4-5 record, and they've had all kinds of challenges and hoops they've had to jump through this year. And Blaine Boss has had to, go from changing his offensive scheme completely around due to injuries and other issues. And the fact that they've got 4 wins is very impressive, considering what they had to go through this year. Roosevelt comes in at 1-7, but they played a very tough schedule. I don't know anything about Roosevelt this year. They used to be on Jefferson's schedule, but they are not anymore, and they have not provided any stats, so they're kind of a mystery team for me.
It's going to be fascinating to see what the Rough Riders do well. What we know that Herculaneum does well is run the ball with DJ Johnson right now. Even if it's that Wildcat offense that they broke out this last week against Perryville quite a bit, it's working. He's been sensational in this 3-game win streak. I will say, you've talked about how Coach Boss has done such a good job of adapting. In his eyes, he would hope that he doesn't have to and that he would have Jackson Deering out there at quarterback running that offense, because it does look like, for the most part, their best offensive performances this year are when Jackson is in the lineup and is doing what he does, not just running that option attack on offense, but then throwing off play action and being able to hit some passes to Johnson and also Tanner Weesey.
At the beginning of the season, and Tanner Weesey's really come on throughout the year, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Jackson Deering, of course, started the season injured, wasn't able to play. Lucas Barr was at quarterback, and Lucas Barr fit in with the Veer offense that Blaine Boss wanted to run, but then injuries, of course, and one of those was to Lucas Barr. Just about the time Jackson Deering was getting healthy and coming back in, they had to change things all the way around again. You're right. I think they're very, very effective with Jackson Deering at the quarterback and Lucas Barr as a target. He's a great target as a receiver. Now, I don't know. I don't believe Barr played last week, so I don't know his status is up in the air. If you've heard anything about that for this week, that'll be one of the very interesting things.
I had a chance to actually chat with DJ Johnson the other day, coming off the big game he had against Perryville, and we talked a lot about what it's like in practice, and he says, Coach is giving it to me every other rep. right now. I think that their plan is to just continue to give it to number 21 as much as possible. And obviously, whether it's as a runner or receiver, even as a kick returner, he's making plays. He's probably your best option right now.
Well, and he's really stepped up on the defensive side of the ball, too, and made some great plays when other players got knocked out of the lineup. And, Mikey Maloney goes down, who was kind of the captain, the heart and soul of that defense. And DJ has really stepped up and done a great job. So I'm thinking Herculaneum plays the game they're capable of, and here again, it always comes down to penalties and turnovers. But if they play as penalty and turnover free as possible, they should come out of this game with a win. And unfortunately, for either team, the winner gets to go on to play St. Mary's, and the number 1 seed, and they've earned a first-round bye, and that's going to be an uphill climb for anybody.
That will be the game where afterwards, in that you get everybody to take a knee post game. The first thing the coach does is point at the other team and go, "That's what we want to be,"
right.
at some point, because they've done such a good job with the Dragons. If you're just a fan of football, I will say, down the line, that district Herculaneum is in, ooh, buddy. Number 1 is St. Mary's. Number 2 is Valley Catholic. That's not 1 and 2 in the district seedings. That's 1 and 2 in the state in
right.
Class 3 right now. That would be a potential dream matchup if we get there at some point.
And also a team that we're going to talk about next year is no slouch either. And, although they've lost to Valley and lost a couple others. Bayless versus St. Genevieve in that. St. Genevieve comes in at 6-3, and you could say, well, that's a pretty decent record, but they've lost some difficult games to some very tough opponents. But Bayless, of course, comes in at 0-9. Not a whole lot to say here. Bayless is a very young team; they're still learning their way. They've got some speed, and they've come on and they've scored some more points over the last few weeks. But not much to say there other than that, to me, St. Gen should be able to move on. And, of course, if they move on, they're going to get a chance to face Valley Catholic again, the number 2 seed. So I'm sure that's something that they would love to have a shot at.
I've gotten a chance to talk to kids on both sides over the years, and I always ask, especially in the summer, what's one of the things you're looking forward to? When you go to Valley, they say the St. Gen game. When you go to St. Gen, they say the Valley game. And there's a bitter taste in the mouths of the Dragons because – take that result away, the first year for Jay Pope at head coach for that team has been really good.
Exactly.
And they certainly feel like they should perform a lot better if they get the second shot at Valley. And at least give a chance for themselves to hang around going into the fourth quarter.
You talk about that rivalry, that in-town rivalry, and I always laugh because by the time the summer rolls around, you've got kids from St. Gen and kids from Valley, and now they're playing together for St. Genevieve Post 150 and Junie Bosler, and Junie's able to bring all those kids.
He's the great mediator.
Yes.
He just knows how to get them to come together.
And he's been at both schools, so he knows how to do that. Well, Nathan, that kind of wraps up the I-55 conference here. We're going to take a quick break. Ray's going to take it over there, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little Mississippi area red here and talk about those districts. We'll be right back here on Livestream STL.
We hope you're enjoying tonight's presentation. Take advantage of the HD experience here with Livestream STL by going to the TKDS Sports Network app. Download the app and subscribe by going to videos.tkdssports.com. That'll get you access onto our TKDS Sports app, Roku, and Fire Stick. And thanks so much for your support of Livestream STL.
Petalin Pie, bringing wood-fired Neapolitan-style pizza, Italian wines, cold beer and soda, as well as Trek, Diamondback, and Redline bicycles to the Twin City area. Petalin Pie is a great spot to start and end your rides. Get your bikes tuned up, as well as grab an amazing pie and grab it fast. Their 1,000-degree oven can have your pie ready in just about 90 seconds. Petalin Pie at 514 Bailey Road in Crystal City. Stop by or give us a call at 636-638-1080. Ride to eat, eat to ride. A pizza shop serving bicycles. Petalin Pie.
You know, I do this for the love of the kids. I do it for the love of the coaches and the ADs because there's not enough high school coverage in the St. Louis area. There's just not. Once again, I get to keep my relationships with, guys like you and a lot of the other great coaches and administrators and former athletes. And that's one of the cool things that we're going to do here too. Is I've been fortunate covering some great great coaches and great kids, but the Caravan is. I wasn't letting it die, and sure enough, we're here now, and the reboot is in full effect.
Dear Exit Strategy, all your pieces are in place. A tranquil lake, a serene sky, an emerald forest, a secret hideout. Thanks for being there just when I need you most. Always Toyota SUVs.
Every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, our no-cost maintenance plan. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hi, I'm Lawrence Krodinger with Home by SMCI. Whether it's residential or commercial, we have the right products for you. Global Plasma Solutions will attack your bacteria, mold, viruses, even help dust in your house. They install easily, less than 45 minutes, and it's invaluable for the rest of your life. If you're interested in any of the products that we do offer, give us a call at 636-337-4444 or send us an email at service@homebysmci.com.
Value. Let's talk about value right now. We here at Livestream STL believe that value is key to keeping our community at a high level. Do us a huge favor today. Talk to your athletic director about the value that Livestream STL brings to your school. Talk to your superintendents as well. Let them know that you want Livestream STL in your schools because we bring high levels of value back to your kids. Thanks again for watching the broadcast. We are back for our second segment here for Main Street Sports, our football playoff preview. Thanks for being with us. And we're here at the lovely Petalin Pie out here off Bailey Road, just down the street from Main Street in Festus. A pizza shop that's a bike shop all at once. And I'm just going to give a little prop here first before they wanted me to push the pizza, but I'm going to push this right now. I want to say thanks so much right now for the caramel apple, and so this is old school here. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why. It's old school because when I used to go to Six Flags a lot, and you're there all day, and I would get one of these, this exact caramel apple right here. It's caramel with chocolate chips on it. So kudos to the folks here, but the pizza here, pretty doggone good too as well. Mm-hmm. We may have to show some off. We are trying to nibble in between the commercials and whatnot. But so while I say that, I'm going to start nibbling on one, and I'm going to send it right back over here to Jeff.
Yeah, Ray doesn't want to talk anymore because he'd like to be able to eat while he's producing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
He starts bringing up Six Flags. I'm younger, so I haven't gotten to experience everything. I've only been once. They had for a while when I was there a red velvet cake funnel cake.
Oh, holy moly!
With the cream cheese frosting, all that. It was hard getting around the park the rest of the day. After that, I mean,
I bet
these guys are killing me, folks. These guys are killing me. All right, moving on now to the Mississippi Area Red Conference here and Class 4 District 1. Yes, we're up to Class 4 now. Did want to mention a little about Hillsboro and talk about them a little bit. Of course, they are the number 1 seed in Class 4 District 1. They have a bye. They've had an incredible season. To me, they're the prohibitive favorite to win that district. They have obviously two of the best football players in this area, and they've been that way for the last few years in Jackson Patterson and Austin Romaine, who are both juniors. Jackson Romaine has been running roughshod over any of their opponents. He is among the metro area leaders in scoring and in rushing. He's got over 1,300 yards, 9.2 yards per carry, and total yards. Just as good and probably better on defense is Austin Romaine, the junior, an area leader in rushing, 815 yards, but 10 yards per carry. Also an area leader in total yards and tackling assists, and they're going to be tough for anybody.
I remember last year getting to watch Hillsboro, and Austin Romaine comes in at the fullback spot, and I look down at my program, and he is wearing number 40. I go, that's not a sophomore. I mean, he's an enormous kid. He is a physical talent that will get looks at the next level. And like you said, probably better on defense. He's a great linebacker. But just this year, when they opened the season with Northwest, they ran fullback dive on their first 2 plays of the year to Romaine. He took each of them for 70-yard touchdowns. They can beat you with the simplest of stuff, running the ball downhill with either Patterson, Romaine, Peyton Brown, who's had a very good sophomore season, Tyler Watson, their senior wingback. And again, I think you have to shout out the guys up front. Jordan Jarvis is one of 4 seniors starting on the offensive line. The sophomore Wyatt Husky, or Wyatt Yeager, started as a freshman. So they're great up front. Brian Saharsky has done such a good job building the physical football team that he wanted. And as a result, not just the number 1 seed in this district for a reason, but the only losses to Jackson. They have 6 shutouts in there. They're one of the best teams in the state.
Absolutely. And, I do expect them to see Jackson down the road, and who knows what can happen. Jackson obviously is a phenomenal team, dominating team, but I'm glad, that offense, not only are they physical, it's the execution. It's the marriage of the skilled position players with the big boys up front, and how they work together as a unit. That is, to me, the most impressive part. So, but moving on to the actual games, we'll start off in this. We've got DeSoto at North County. DeSoto's had a very challenging season. They've graduated, some really good skilled position players. Northwest is a formidable opponent here. They've only lost 1 game, and that was to Hillsboro. And they're capable. We've seen what they could do against Festus and some of the other teams. They're more than capable of making some problems for Hillsboro or some other teams here in this district. But I haven't seen personally either one of these teams play. I followed North County quite a bit and seen what they're capable of, but it's going to be tough for DeSoto to be able to come out of this with a win.
I think Keith Woodland's biggest thing is the thing that has been kind of probably his thought process in the last half of the year, which is, am I seeing progress from Austin Meese, the freshman that they've moved to the starting quarterback position because they tried with Brody Fisher at the beginning of the year and it wasn't working, so they made a move to Meese, and when he's had time to throw, he and Cody Petty have developed a pretty good connection. But it's just a question of what progress are they making. And when you talk about how good North County is, I would say, in my opinion, anybody 1 through 4 seed-wise in Class 4 District 1 can win the district. They're all really good teams, and you can throw North County and the Farmington Knights into that discussion.
Right, and the winner of this game will face number 3 seed Farmington. If they defeat Perryville, and Perryville having a down year as well. So I expect Farmington to move on and play the winner of this, which will probably be North County. So we shall see. But next up we have Sykeston and Festus, 2 very interesting teams this year. Depending on who you talk to, and in my opinion, Festus has had a bit of a disappointing season. Just because for all of the great skilled position players that they have on that offense and defense, their line has been their Achilles heel, their offensive and defensively, and just some of the issues they've had with turnovers. It's just been. I think the folks over there on Mid-Meadow Lane, as they say, probably expected maybe 1 or 2 more victories this year.
I think that it's fascinating how getting to talk to coaches all the way back in the summer, they said, if we could pair these skill guys with the 4 senior starters we had in 2020, we'd be something incredible. And that has been, something that has plagued them. And yet, the thing that jumps out to me is it's disappointing because it seems like they're on the wrong end of every 1-score game that they're in. They had the ball at the end against Hillsboro. They had the ball at the end against North County. They had the ball in the last 5 minutes, down only a score at Farmington. This team could be 7-2, 8-1 really, really easily, and it's what makes them the most dangerous team in their district because we know that they're capable of hanging with anybody, and that's largely because not just of the offense, but the guy running the show, number 12, Cole Rickerman. I remember in the summer watching him throw and going, college next year. There's a reason he's visited places that are really good at football, like Northwest Missouri State already.
Right.
Because he's going to be able to play that position at the next level. He's made such a big jump this season.
To me, Cole Rubel at Seckman's had an incredible season as a quarterback, but I don't know that is his best skill. But when you look at Rickerman, to me, he is the best quarterback.
Best passer.
Yes, best passer all the way around. He leads the metro area in passing. He's third in passing ratio. And not only that, the addition of Ahmad Branch playing football this year. We've all known what he can do on the basketball court, and he's shown that he is just as able on the football field. He's leads the metro area in receiving. And Isaac Stuckey, the senior, he's out. They've had like a 1-2 punch there, and then you throw in Roberts Day a little bit. And like they said, they've got those weapons there. And it does make them dangerous, but they've got to limit the turnovers. They've got to limit the turnovers and the penalties. I do expect them to come away from Sikeston with a victory, and then, of course, they will get a rematch with Hillsboro, and I'm sure that will be highly publicized here in the county.
I think that would be one of – my anticipation was huge for when they met in the regular season, just because of the fact that there was already the rivalry aspect that exists between those schools. It would take it up to another level if they played again. And I do think, you couldn't just keep listing skill guys. Stuckey, Landon Yates, Dalton Yates, and Landon Bradshaw running back. Eric Roos has been such a great addition, both sides of the ball from North County. They're so deep. It's a question of if they can hold up front at the line of scrimmage, and also if they have the ball last, do they make it count this time?
Right. And as you mentioned, that's been their MO the last two, this year and last season as well. They always find themselves behind and having to come back in the second half of the games, and they need to figure out a way to be able to come out strong here against Sikeston tomorrow night. Moving on now, we've got Perryville at Farmington. Farmington, the number 3 seed. Perryville, the 6th seed. Perryville, as we know, will be moving into the I-55 conference. 2-7 record overall against Farmington's 6-3 record. Farmington averaging 25 points a game on offense, but they've given up 27 points on defense. That's kind of been their area, their weakness there. But I truly expect Farmington to come out of this with a victory, and of course they will move on to play the winner, as we said, of DeSoto and North County.
I respect Eric Krupe to the nth degree, Farmington head coach, for what he does as a defensive play caller. So I look forward to seeing what he does, not just this week, but if they can keep winning. He just seems to find a way to frustrate great offenses. Meanwhile, for Farmington, they figured out who their guys are. They weren't sure coming into the year on offense, but now we know that Kason McLean, Jeremiah Cunningham, Drew Felker at quarterback, they know who they can give the ball to. They know what they can do well. And, they've given up some points there, but I would say for their defense, Jackson and Poplar Bluff in a couple of games in like a 3-week stretch, they gave up something like a combined 100 points in there.
Right.
They've run into some good offenses this season, and I think they're better defensively than that number really shows.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. For me, Farmington, it like most teams, obviously, but I'm always intrigued by their line play at Farmington and what they do, and they've got some big boys down there, and that will be problematic for several teams in this district. But next up, we have the Class 4. We're moving over to District 2. Windsor gets thrown in that, they're far enough north. They get thrown in the district with city teams, and they'll be playing Gateway STEM. Don't know much about Gateway at all other than their junior defensive lineman, Kevin Spencer, obviously is a threat with 6 sacks on the season. Gateway comes in at 3-5 on the season. They're only averaging 15 points a game scored, but they've given up 26 points. Windsor, of course, they're 3-6. They're averaging 14 points a game, but they've given up 31 points a game. So it sounds to me like we've got teams with fairly similar records, and this is kind of a toss-up for me as far as this game goes.
I think it'll be very similar to Windsor's encounter with Lutheran South this last week. Low scoring and close and down to the wire. I do think the Windsor's a funny team because Jeff Funston is the former offensive coordinator for Alex DeMatteis and play caller, and he takes over as head coach. And they were a defense-first team. The wins that they've gotten this year, they've largely been low-scoring, close games.
Correct.
On the flip side, even here late in the year, it seems they still are trying to answer the question, how do you replace Derek Williams, one of the best players in program history? They just haven't put together a big offensive game yet. I think the season high is like 24 points.
Right.
So whether it's running the ball with Jordan Foster, whether Nolan Hurth has the best passing game of his career, they need to figure it out. And at the very least, they need to make progress because a lot of those guys will be back next year.
Right, and I will say this much. Their defense against Lutheran South was the best that they'd played, I thought, all season.
Yeah.
I thought they played a very spirited game. And Nolan Hurth as well at quarterback. He had some big runs for them and does not go down easy. You always get 100% from that young man. So, this game to me is a toss-up. Obviously, being here in the county, we wish the Owls luck. But either way, the winner of this will face number 1 seed Vashon. Received a first-round bye, and that's no easy task as well.
This is another district where if the seeding holds and you're just a fan of football, that title game could be fun. You got Union, who won it last year and is unbeaten again, and Vashon is obviously looking like a school with Vashon's reputation should be. So that would be a fun game if you've got some time in 2 weekends to watch potentially.
Exactly. Well, we're putting to bed now the Mississippi Area Red Conference, and we're moving on to the suburban conferences. We have obviously 3 Jefferson County teams in the suburban conferences with Fox, Northwest, and Seckman. Class 5 District 1, Melville at Fox, and this is a very interesting game to me, although both teams have losing records. Melville Panther senior running back Eric Omar, he's a dual threat on offense and defense, leads one of the area leaders in rushing, return yards, and fumble recoveries. Their senior Josh Kammerer is among the leaders in solo tackles. On Fox, on the other hand, we know what they've graduated in the last 2 years, but junior Sam Street's having a heck of a season, leader in solo tackles and assists, and they've got one of the very best kickers in the area, and I love this name, Jinty Delovi, I believe. Mm-hmm. And fun to watch. He's a kicker and a punter. Now, both of these teams, Fox comes in 3-6, Melville 4-5. I think this has the makings of a very good game.
It'll be fascinating. Fox, I believe, they met in the regular season, and Fox has the 4 seed because they beat Melville in the regular season, and I believe that was one of the handier wins that Fox got this year. Brent Tinker, I think, has done such a phenomenal job because, don't let the record fool you, they seem to be in it every week. They had a 3-game losing streak middle of the year where the combined margin of defeat was 19 points. I mean, they were just barely on the wrong end of things. Made a really good Lindbergh team. Your Flyers have to sweat it. Earlier in the year, only lost by a point. I got to see them against Seckman a couple weeks ago. I was so impressed with the sophomore quarterback, Grant Gibson, that they have.
Right.
I think he's making huge strides. And you mentioned Sam Street. Him and then a sophomore, Jamison Winfrey, at the inside linebacker spots. It just looks like it hurts to run into those two. They hit hard, and they're flying to the football. I think all the ingredients are in place to where Fox is going to be a team, regardless of what happens in this one or potentially next week. They're far better than what the record shows. Brent Tinker has said he loves being around this particular bunch. I can see why.
Brent Tinker always impresses me, regardless of what talent level he has and the way he's able to assemble his team. So, yeah, they're gonna be tough for anybody. Obviously, the winner of this game will move on to face the undefeated number 1 seed Jackson Indians, and Jackson, of course, has their sights on another state title. So that will be difficult. But Fox has the piece. I look at Fox, and they're one of those teams where if they're a pro team, when they're 1 or 2 players away, or maybe a year away from really making a statement.
They feel like they're so young this year that on offense especially, they're seeing the progress to where they're going to be thrilled to get to training camp. They feel like next year, when Grant Gibson's older, when Aiden Smith, who's their leading rusher, is a year older, they'll be able to make more hay and finish games off next season.
Absolutely. Well, we also have to talk about a team this year that has had probably one of their most successful seasons in recent memory, and that's the Seckman Jaguars. And they will be hosting Cape Central in this first round. Any discussion of Seckman begins and ends with Cole Rubel and what he's been able to do for them. Just a juggernaut. And he's among the metro area leaders in scoring, rushing, total yards, and passing ratio. Plus, they also have a great kicking game in Mason Lawson as well. 7-2 record overall, hosting Cape Central, 2-6 overall. The winner of this game is going to get the winner of the number 6 seed Oakville versus number 3 seed Poplar Bluff, and I expect Seckman to come away with a win in week 1 here, and I expect them to come away with the win in week 2 as well.
I think, I think they'll win handily this week. I think in next week, if they got Poplar Bluff, would be such a fun game. That Bluff offense has a 4-year starting quarterback named Cannon Carr, who, of course, great quarterback name right away. But they run the spread. They can sling it all over. They pile up the points. They're a ton of fun. You pit that against Seckman, who is at times running the true single wing, where the quarterback doesn't line up with the center. Cole Rubel will take the snap off from center at times. Right. And they just try to run it right down your throat. I will say about what Nick Bayer has built, as much as we talk about Cole Rubel and the great numbers they've put up running the offense that they do, I still think they're kind of a defense-first team. I think more talent is on that end of the ball. They have had Jaden Ashlock, who's been a former state championship contending wrestler, has become one of the best linebackers in the county. I think they got a great defensive lineman, Noah Isaiah, and some real good guys in the back end too. I will also say with the offense, the name to keep your eye on, because you'll hear Rubel a bunch. The other name to keep the eye on is Ty Kitchen. He's their second leading rusher, and he's one of their leading receivers. They've gotten much better at throwing it this year than they had in the past. They, I think, had 77 passing yards all of last year, and Rubel now is up to about 700 for the year, and he's thrown, I think, 12, 13 touchdowns. So they're far, far better throwing it, and it's because they do have an ability to get it to somebody else besides Cole Rubel.
And very interesting, I'm stuck on the fact you said Todd Kitchen. That's a former Blues alumni and coach Todd Kitchen, Ray over there, the major hockey fan. So,
Yay!
So hoping for 6-0 tonight, right?
Another great name. That's right. We'll have to get home and watch the game. But, I'm really psyched to see how far the Jaguars can go this year. Our final team as we move up to Class 6, District 1, the Northwest Lions in Class 6, of course, versus a Marquette team that is, they've had a great season, 8-1, the number 2 seed overall. Northwest, a 7 seed at 5-4. That tells you about that Class 6 District 1.
I don't think there's a more stacked district across any class in the state. The top 4 seeds are all top 10 ranked teams in the state. The 4 seed De Smet is the team Fox had to go through in the state semifinals last year and almost beat. And many people said last year was one of the best teams in the country, let alone in the state. There's so much talent in there. And that stinks because Northwest is playing their best football right now. They've won 4 in a row. Coming into this one, Nick Hoth sounds more pleased than ever in talking with him about where they're set up, especially at the line of scrimmage. It's one of those things, though, where, and a lot of teams will be in this position next week, too, I think. It's a house money situation for Northwest. There are plenty of people who are saying there's no way. So why not go out there, throw your best shot out, see what happens over
exactly. Look
the
at your
48
teammate
minutes.
and say, hey, why not us?
Exactly.
Just to give folks at home an idea who is in Class 6 District 1. The number 1 seed, CBC. The number 2 seed, Marquette. They've only lost 1 game. The number 3 seed, Lindbergh, having one of their best seasons ever, conference champs. Lindbergh Flyers, class of 82, represent.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug, that's right. Number 4, De Smet. to see De Smet at number 4 any time in conference brackets is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Number 5, Kirkwood, another powerhouse. Number 6, SLU.
Wow.
And then you have number 7, Northwest. Of course, we are pulling for David against all these Goliaths here, not only being a county team, but and of course the winner of the Marquette Northwest game would move on to face the winner of the Lindbergh SLU game, which will be Lindbergh, by the way. Bank on that. But you've got Marquette's got a great quarterback, junior quarterback in Jack Albrand, but Northwest has a great quarterback, junior quarterback as well, Chase Veland. They're both among the leaders in passing. Veland's among the leaders in total yards. So it'll be fun to watch both of those guys play. But Marquette's defense only giving up 9 points a game. I mean, that's going to be tough.
And Northwest is another kind of true double wing, triple option attack. They will not necessarily try to beat you throwing the football and spreading it out all over. They're going to try to run it straight down your throat. So it's going to be imperative for Northwest to have a shot to stay ahead of the chains as much as possible.
Exactly. The one weakness of any type of offense like that is the fact that if you find yourself behind and you need to come back and start throwing a ball around when you've only thrown it, less than a dozen times a game, that can become problematic at that point. But let's see how Northwest can do. It's a great measuring stick for the junior quarterback in that program as well. But their season has been nothing to sneeze at.
No, I was so impressed with how they turned it around. I mean, they lost, I want to say, like 59-0 week one at Hillsboro. And Nick Hoth, I talked to him because I was at that game afterwards. He was steaming mad. He didn't think they would be the type of team that gets beat in any game like that. And they've really answered the bell the last couple of weeks. So I think they'll put up a terrific effort. Certainly be a little closer than they were a couple weeks ago when they lost to Marquette.
I would agree with you on that. And at that note, Nathan, we're going to take another quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up. You're watching the Main Street Sports Show right here on Livestream STL.
Hey, Ray Halbrook here with Livestream STL. We hope you're enjoying tonight's broadcast. Do us a huge favor. Check out our brand new website, livestreamstl.tkdssports.com. There you'll see plenty of information about your schools, articles about different games and whatnot, and we appreciate you checking that out. Do us a huge favor also. We'd really like for you to mention Livestream STL to your athletic directors and superintendents. Tell them you want us in there to bring high value to your school. We'd appreciate that. And thanks again for watching tonight's broadcast.
Wiley Agencies have locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. We offer home, vehicle, business, and life insurance, as well as investments and much more. We utilize a custom approach to make sure you, your family, and assets are properly protected. Give us a call today for great rates and savings at 636-764-6294 for the Festus office or 636-333-9903 for the Arnold office. We'll be happy to review your current coverage or just talk sports. You can also email us at SeanWiley@allstate.com. Tire Bargains, your one-stop destination for all your vehicle's needs. Established in 1985, we offer the best deals on all major tire brands, custom wheels, and lift kits. But we do so much more than just make your vehicle look good. We also help make sure it rides and drives good by offering a full range of repair and inspection services, including alignments. Whether it's custom accessories or repair work, Tire Bargains has you covered. Tire Bargains is located at 2100 Truman Boulevard in Crystal City. Give us a call today at 636-937-0021.
We are here for the health and well-being of Jefferson County.
We are here at county schools, private schools, and Jefferson College to serve students.
We are here providing mental health services for children and adults.
Providing dental care, doctor visits, wellness exams, and immunizations at our school-based health centers.
Still respond to a demand for COVID vaccines and testing at ComTree clinics.
Join 1 in 20 residents in the county.
We are here.
We are here.
We are here.
We invite you to become a member of the ComTree family tree.
Does your financial advisor take the time to really listen to you? Is your financial strategy personalized for you and your family? Will your financial advisor be there as your life and financial situation changes? Hi, I'm Scott Seek, your local Edward Jones financial advisor. When we work together, we'll focus on what's important to you. We'll create a personalized financial strategy backed by our advice, tools, and resources to help you reach your goals. and we'll partner to help your strategy stay on track no matter what happens. Contact me today at 636-937-8081. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Mama's on the Hill, home of the original toasted ravioli. For reservations, gift cards, and banquet and catering inquiries, contact them at 314-776-3100, located at 2132 Edwards in St. Louis, Missouri. Check them out on the web on mamasonthehill.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive holiday offers. Guys, we're going to wrap some things up. Hey, Nathan, thanks so much for being with us, and we appreciate that and being available, because I know you got a busy schedule just like we do, but we appreciate you popping in here and making time for us.
Well, this is a fantastic place to come and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big ups to Chris and Renee Creed. This is a wonderful, wonderful place to come in and get some food. And, hey, if you need bike repairs, you can get that knocked out as well.
That's right.
Exactly. and I want to echo Ray's sentiments in saying that we really appreciate you coming on tonight and getting your perspective. There are obviously with the larger schools that we normally don't cover. You were able to provide some wonderful insight to those schools in the different games. So hope to do this again with you sometime. Maybe we've got basketball around the corner, but we will let folks go knowing that we've enjoyed our evening here at Pedal and Pie and all the wonderful food and smells, and that I'm sure folks want to jump off and watch the hockey game. So,
that's true. Yeah, Blues hockey comes on.
So we'll let them go.
Minutes,
ladies and gentlemen, Ray will be at St. Pius, or are you going to be at Herky tomorrow?
I'm going to be at Herky tomorrow night. So
you're going to be at Herky for
Roosevelt Herculaneum. There it is, right there, and that'll be 6:45 on Mission TV. And then I've got Hal over at Crystal City doing the Crystal City Pius game. They'll be that'll be a fun one for Hal over there. So both of those are on Mission TV. There's a subscription, so if you want to you don't want to be out in the rain. Number one, I'm just gonna plug the rain. I know Nathan's shaking his head right now. I don't want to be out in that rain. Don't go out in the rain. Spend a few bucks and get the game and just watch it and enjoy live stream STL's coverage. And if you're over at you're doing the Pius game too as well.
Yeah, I get to actually stay in the warmth of a studio tomorrow night.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how I manage that. He says as he pushes everybody else out the door to do games. My good friend Garrett Davenport will have it for you on AM 1400 KGF though, Crystal and St. Pius tomorrow night.
There you go. All right.
And I will be at Jefferson.
Where will you be?
I will be. I will be at Jefferson. I will be working the PA for the Kelly at Jefferson District game. So
awesome. Well, again, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate Jeff popping out here. Appreciate the folks at Pedal and Pie here giving us the two tables here. And I know people were coming in and trying to take the seats, and I'm like, I can't have you sit here because we're made it prop, So it kind of was what it was, but it's a fun little place, and you get a chance to jump out to Pedal and Pie. Do so right down here on Bailey Road, right before you get into to Festus Main Street. But thanks again for watching Main Street Sports. For all of us here at Livestream STL, have a great evening.